Want to hear this episode ad-free? Hey, true crime friends, this is your host, Mary DiPipi. And if you would like to hear your true crime in academia episodes completely ad-free, consider going to patreon.com/ivory tower boiler room and become a subscriber. For $5 a month, you not only get access to now ad-free episodes of True Crime in Academia, but bonus episodes as well. Every month, I love to offer subscribers a bonus episode, such as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, or Casey Anthony, or the JonBenet Ramsey killing. I mean, you name it, I want to cover it. So, the only way you can access that is to go to patreon.com/ivory tower boiler room and become a subscriber today. Like I said, it's only $5. I mean, think about it. I mean, you're really just buying me a coffee, which I know I say sometimes in my episodes, but it's true. And for all of the research and everything, I put into getting you these episodes, it would be nice to just have a cup of coffee. So go to patreon.com/ivory tower boiler room and become a subscriber today so you can get access to those bonus episodes. And like I said, now especially ad-free episodes. So one more time, that's patreon.com/ivory tower boiler room and get your bonus episodes and ad-free episodes today. Hey, true crime friends, welcome back to another episode of True Crime in Academia. I am your host, Mary DiPipi. I know we're a little late this weekend, and also I hope you all had a wonderful week. But yeah, I know we're a little late today. I left all of my recording equipment at my boyfriend's house, and I tried to I tried to be creative and find other ways to accomplish recording this episode before obviously the airtime 7:30, but it was just not possible. So here we are. I'm practically recording in real time. So yeah, I mean, it has just been a bit of a hectic week. A good week, just hectic, very busy. My marketing team, we all went to the Phillies game and it was fucking awesome. We had a great time. It was Dollar Dog Night. We got on the Jumbotron because one of our amazing team members, she's just incredible. She made us signs, and that's pretty much why we got on the Jumbotron, because they loved our signs. So, it was great, just very busy, doing a lot of things, kind of focusing on my mental health in a way. Just getting out there, being with people, which is something I really haven't done since the pandemic. And I don't know if we talk about that enough, like the lack of socialization that we had during the pandemic that kind of just took over. And for me personally, at the time, I don't think I mentioned this, I was just really peopled out. I had worked in a call center, and I had just finished my master's, or was about to finish my master's, and I really kind of just wanted to focus on being a creative and my creative energy, my creative work, and everything like that. So at the time, I was already, before COVID hit, I was already peopled out. So, I hate to say, that COVID came at a great time for me because it gave me that separation, but, also obviously having COVID, or obviously not having COVID personally, but, COVID being a thing was like terrible. So, I just feel insensitive just being like, yeah, COVID came at a great time for me because I was already peopled out and it just gave me the excuse more so to be a hermit. Like, I feel like a jackass saying that. Even though it's partially true, but obviously I would have rather have been a hermit on my own terms and not because of a fucking pandemic. But here we are. Anyway, this week's episode, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter story. There's not a lot of information, and even though I come across these cases where I can't find a lot of information, I still want to showcase them because obviously, like, these people meant something to someone. Obviously. And I just think it's important to tell any and everyone's story that I possibly can. Because my mission personally is just to make sure these people aren't forgotten. And even though they have these very tragic things happen to them, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they deserve to be remembered. And, I feel like sometimes in the true crime world, if there's not a lot of information on a specific case, we tend to not ignore them, but kind of put them on the back burner, if you will. So, yeah. So, if this episode is a little short or shorter than you would like, I apologize. But again, I felt that this person's story was important and needed to be shared. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. On the afternoon of June 30th, 1986, 3 workmen were doing whatever it is that they do, since the only description I got was workmen, but they were working on Route 128 in Beverly, Massachusetts. Now, this workday would prove to be different than others because on this day, they discovered no one else should ever, and I mean ever, have to discover a dead body. The body that they found was that of missing Salem State University sophomore, Claire Gravel. Claire Ann Gravel was born on August 9th, 1966, in Massachusetts, to parents Mary Louise and Robert Gravel. She was one of 4 children with her 3 brothers, Robert Jr., Mark, and James. Now, it is possible that she could have other siblings. I tried to find out that information, but there is very limited information on this case, as I mentioned in the intro. And these 3 brothers were who I were able to find. So it could just be the 3 of them, or she could have other siblings. I can't say for sure, but it is possible. If you have any information regarding this case, specifically information that I might have missed, please send an email to ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com and put True Crime in Academia in the subject title so I know it's for me. But yeah, because I can only find so much, and I never want to be like, oh yes, I am the authority on things. I'm always willing to learn. So, like I said, if you have information on the case, send that email. I will look into it, and I'll create an addendum to the episode and add that extra information. But I'm always appreciative of any new information that, like I said, that I could not find. So, but anyway, she had at least 3 brothers that we know of. Now, Claire had a soft face with fiery red hair and these bright blue eyes. I mean, she looks like your typical Irish girl, even though I can't say for sure if she was, in fact, Irish or not. But you know what I mean. When people think of, like, the, typical, I guess, Irish beauty, they think of, or at least I think of, the beautiful red hair and blue eyes. And to be fair, in at least some of the colorized versions of this picture that I've seen of her, or, I shouldn't say colorized, but more updated colorized version, her hair is ungodly beautiful. Like, I want that color red that she has, or at least in what these pictures are showing. But again, I'm sorry, I'm going off in a tangent on her beautiful red hair. But there wasn't much known, at least again from my research, about Claire's early life, but it seems that she came from a loving home. It was said that after her death that her father carried a photo of her in his wallet, and he carries it to this day. In a later interview, one of her brothers stated how he thinks about her, Claire, every single day, and he sometimes goes to her grave to just talk to her. Now, Claire was also athletic, specifically in the sport of softball, which she played in college.
LGBT stories are universal, but each one speaks to the individual heart and soul of the writer telling it. Do you have a story to tell? If so, the Gay and Lesbian Review wants to hear from you. Have you been moved by an LGBT book, film, painting, television show, or other form of media? The GNLR believes in bringing awareness to queer art and artists through reviews, commentary, and thought pieces in which the author relates their personal lives to a particular piece of art, a novel, a movie, or what have you. In addition to the articles published in the print magazine, the GNLR also publishes articles on its blog as well as personal essays on its popular Here's My Story section. This allows people like you to share their own experiences with our readers. To learn more about submitting either to the print or the online edition of the GNLR, visit glreview.org. That's glreview.org, and scroll down to the bottom of the page to find a link to their writer's guidelines. If you have any questions, email stephen.hemrick@glreview.org. The GNLR can't wait to see what you have to say. And remember that they're offering an exclusive code with the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So when you subscribe to the magazine, you'll receive a free copy with any print or digital subscription. So that's 7 issues instead of 6. Again, just visit theglreview.org and click subscribe and enter the promo code ITBR for your free issue. Hi, this is Andrew, and I'm interrupting what I know is an enthralling interview because I want you all to know that we are sponsored by Broadview Press. And if you don't know, Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher who publishes books covering topics like English studies, writing, philosophy, history, gender studies. And every season on the podcast, I interview one of the Broadview Press authors. So for the fall, we had Ann Stevens on to talk about literary theory and criticism. She played a Wizard of Oz literary game with us. She talked about why Bridgerton actually involves literary theory. So does 50 Shades of Grey. Who knew? And also, we just had on Jeffrey Weinstock, who wrote the first ever pop culture analysis book. So, I am all things a lover of pop culture, especially my Hollywood topics, Real Housewives, the list goes on. And he also wrote the book called The Mad Scientist's Guide to Composition, where he's writing a book teaching students about how to write rhetorical strategies, but it's all around this metaphor of being in the mad scientist laboratory, because as you'll learn when you hear our episode with Jeffrey, he is a gothic and horror fanatic. And I mean that in all the best ways possible. So you don't want to miss Broadview Press's exclusive discount because you're listening to the podcast. All of you get an automatic 20% off. Use the code Ivory Tower for 20% off site-wide on all of their books. So in our show notes, we have a link to Broadview Press. Make sure you click the link. put in Ivory Tower and you're going to get 20% off your order. So enjoy your reading, everyone.
Claire was accepted to Salem State University in Massachusetts, and she attended her freshman and sophomore year there. Now, like I said, she played softball. On June 28th, 1986, Claire and her softball team went out for drinks at Major Maglish's pub. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it looks like it said Maglish's, so that's what we're going with. But they went to this pub, and I'm not sure if they were going out after a game or if they were just going out as a team, like, as friends. Or, had they gone out after a game, I don't know if they won or if they lost. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know the situation, but they were there and they were having a good time because, they were out until like 1:30 in the morning. Or at least that was the last time Claire was seen. The window in between which Claire was last seen was between 1:30 and 1:45. And within this time window, Claire was heading back to her apartment. So again, like I said, it seems like they were having a pretty good time. Like, it seems like they stayed until the bar closed. Again, this is the 80s, which even though, like, I knew this, obviously, I had to keep reminding myself that this case was the 80s because I don't know why, I kept wanting to think that this case was, like, earlier and not the 80s. And so, like, when I initially read that they were out until, like, 1:30, I was like, oh, my gosh, that is so late for these women. Like, what are they doing? But then I was like, oh, this is the 80s. That makes total sense. Like, it's kind of when we all started, I guess, being out later. Or at least being out later was more talked about, at least. But anyway, between 1:30 a.m. and 1:45 a.m., that was when she was last seen, and she was seen entering the yellow building, which was her apartment. Now, that was the last time anyone would see her alive. 2 days later, her body was discovered by the 3 workmen that we had mentioned earlier in the episode. Like I said, they were doing whatever they were doing, and they sadly stumbled upon her body. And I hate to say that, like, in some ways, like, I'm glad that they found her body so soon, but, because for identification purposes and preservation of, evidence and DNA and things like that, which we'll get into in just a second. But, sometimes people go months and years before their bodies are found, and sometimes their family members have to identify them in such a decomposed state that, I wouldn't wish having to identify someone in such a decomposed state onto my worst enemy. So, again, I'm not saying like, oh, this is great that they found her in 2 days. I mean, yes, obviously it is for that, but obviously, for identification purposes, obviously that helped, but you know what I mean. Initially, there were reports that Claire's body had taken a beating, but that was later disproved. Now, I couldn't find any information regarding the circumstances, like specifics of why people thought that and where they thought that there was that type of trauma on the body. But, so I never found specifics. So it could be animal, it could be environmental, and it could have been a part of the attack. We don't know. But as far as I know, there were no reports of sexual assault also. And there have been no developments of this until 2022. Hey, Ivory Tower Boiler Room listeners and true crime friends. You've heard me gush over this incredible woman and her beautiful products. I'm talking about Mandy Made It. Mandy makes customized and original crochet and pre-cut goods. They are the perfect, unique, one-of-a-kind gift for literally anyone in your life. And she makes incredible home decor. I still have my pumpkins that I put out every fall. I just love them. Check her out on Instagram at MANDEE Made It, or search Mandy Made It on Facebook. To order, just slide into her DMs, and if you mention the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, you will receive a free personalized gift with your first order. So, go on Instagram and look up at Mandy Made It, and Mandy is spelled MANDEE. Again, her handle is at Mandy Made It, Mandy spelled MANDEE, and order today. It would be 30 plus years, 36, I think, to be exact, that would go before there would be enough evidence and the technology to process said evidence to convict a suspect. Now, over the years, investigators had interviewed dozens of witnesses and other persons of interests. Now, they followed through on every lead and tip that they got, and eventually in 2012, the assistant district attorney and a few of the state police detectives were assigned to the Essex DA's office and Salem and Beverly. They worked together to basically kind of figure out what was going on and work this cold case. Thanks to modern technology, the DNA that was found on Claire's clothing had been retested, of course, with the modern stuff that we have today. And the DNA came back to one man, a man named John Carey. Now, I couldn't find anything about his life, but at the time, the 63-year-old was currently already incarcerated at MCI Concord for a 2008 conviction, which my research says involved the murder of an 11-year-old girl. Now, of course, he is innocent until proven guilty with this case. And unfortunately, I do not know more than that. I tried to look up any more information regarding the trial. So I'm not sure if it is still ongoing at this point. So again, to which, this man is obviously innocent until proven guilty. So, we will see what happens. Again, if you find out before I do, I will try to, do an addendum. I always try to do those when I can and find out new information. Or I'll mention it in another episode. But if you find out information before I do, please send an email to ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. Subject, True Crime in Academia, or TCIA if you prefer. I will take a look, and like I said, I will do the whole addendum stuff. But that is all I have for you today. I do know that before we get going, I do know that her brothers were very happy that there was some sort of movement. Her father is very happy that there has been some sort of steps forward into justice. And yeah, like I said, that's pretty much what is going on with this case. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Like I said, I will try and keep you posted if I find anything out about the verdict of this. But I really hope that the family finds closure with all of this, I can't imagine having to live with something like that for years and years and years. And, sadly with true crime, we see the statistics. We know how less frequently this type of situation occurs. So the fact that this is happening, I feel very hopeful for the Gravel family. So, I hope that whatever the outcome is, the verdict, I hope that they find some peace And yeah, that's about it. So, guys, please don't forget to follow True Crime in Academia on social media at True Crime in Academia on Instagram and TikTok, and at TC in Academia on social media or on Twitter. Duh. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get access to bonus episodes and ad-free episodes. This is the first ad-free episode that I will have available for you. So go to patreon.com/ivorytowerboilerroom and become a member today. I mean, it's literally, think of it as buying me a coffee just to, get this research done and get these episodes out for you. Just something minor. I'd appreciate it, And with that, my loves, I will see you all later.